Okay, hello everybody. My name is Brandon, Silverback MMA, and again, this is Eric. He's been in videos before. My good friend, Yuki, and client. And so today's video, what we wanted to do was actually go through a situation we're currently in right now, and Eric's currently in. So about he had a sore back for a bit, and it got really bad about 3 weeks ago, where he eventually went in and got an MRI. And found that he had a bulging disc in L5, herniation in L5, correct, and a bulging disc in L2. And it was, really bad. He had issues walking, just across the street, standing. It was really incapacitating. And so, kind of the theme, I guess, with this, and again, this is always the theme, is that, martial arts, MMA, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, all this stuff is, if we do it a proper way, it is healing, it is beneficial for our body, for our lives. And because of that, we can do that for the rest of our lives. And so in this case, we're looking at how this training can actually help him heal from this injury, this bulging and herniated disc. And so we don't have to stop his training. We're actually using this movement and this training to, again, heal him. So what we're going to do is just go through some of these different things that we've done over the last few weeks, because we started meeting almost every day to address this stuff, and he also made changes in his lifestyle as well that we'll get into. So first thing we're going to start with is just some movements that we were doing, because again, starting off, Eric really couldn't really walk much. He couldn't really stand or even sit for more than a minute without a lot of pain. And so being on the ground is probably the most comfortable thing. And so what we started with was just being on hands and knees. And so yeah, I'll just maybe have Eric do that here. So we started just, just having him be on his hands and knees, and he could do that somewhat comfortably. And then starting with there was just rocking back and forth. And we've gone through some of this stuff in previous videos about hip health and whatnot. But, and again with this, is movement is healing. And as long as, I think it was Hippocrates, said that anything can be a medicine or a poison, depends on the dose. Now movement is healing, and it can be, again, as long as it's not too much of a dose, not too intense or whatnot. But no movement, again, is not good at all. So movement and healing. So we needed to get him moving, but making sure it wasn't too intense. So started with rocking, just like Eric's doing here. We started rocking in a circle. And a good thing with herniations and bulging discs is that starting to get some flexion extension actually back in the spine. Now he can't stand, he couldn't even lay flat without pain. So with this, is we're starting to get some of the extension here in the spine. We started doing a little bit of cat-cows as well, where he would, flex there and then extend down there. And again, he's got to really pay attention to what's going on, have a constant dialogue with him and his body, and then between us to make sure that we're doing the proper dose, which again is a lot good movement every day, consistently throughout the day, but not too much. And then another thing that we eventually got into, so once we're here and he's moving around a lot, is we got into crawling. So now crawling, we walk. That cross crawl motion is so beneficial for our body. It's essential. You can look at it as like a vitamin, a vital nutrient that we need is that cross crawl motion, which is what we get when we walk. Cycling, anything where the legs are moving independently. So now Eric couldn't walk really without a ton of pain, and so what we started doing is just having him crawl, just like he's doing there. And again, as you can see, that gets that cross crawl motion, and it helps a ton as far as getting circulation in through his back, through his hips and whatnot. And again, tons of benefits to this, even if you're not injured. But we've had him do this, almost every day, is that just simply just crawling. And also, other things we're looking at, again, like I've talked about in other videos, is lifestyle changes that we can make. And I feel like a lot of times those are actually the least exciting, but they're actually some of the biggest bang for the buck, because most of the time, I was coming here most days, for about an hour, but sometimes a little bit over an hour, and we're working on all this stuff, but then Eric's got another 23 hours or so where his life's going on, and that we can help him even there. So one thing that we did was I suggested that at work, and work was, I guess, flexible enough to let him do this, but bring in a blanket and a pillow where he could set up his workstation and where he could basically get on the floor. And what that helps him do is to move more, where he can, one, be on the floor where it's more comfortable, not sitting in a chair in the same position all day, but he can change positions. He can work where it's comfortable and making sure to, he can work on his knees a bit. He can be sitting down if he needs to lay down or whatever, but just, again, where that movement is really healing. And so he was able to make that change at work, which is, really beneficial. If you wanted to maybe crawl, he needed to take a little break or something, he could just crawl around a little bit, get some movement in, just right around his computer, and a huge help. And the third thing that I want to go through is that, Eric definitely would, he would tell me, he'd get bored if we're sitting here just crawling around doing all this physio stuff. It's not fun. It's kind of, I always use the analogy, it's like brushing teeth. Brushing your teeth is not fun, but it's necessary. So that stuff's necessary, but, we could strike a deal where we could still work on our jiu-jitsu, still get a little bit of a competition thing going on. So what we started doing was hand fighting. And we've done this before, but maybe move this way just a little bit. So, sitting on our knees was something where Eric could do comfortably. And we've done this drill before. It's actually very helpful. And you can play a little game with it where you're trying to tip each other over, but you can't move your knees. But where Eric was at, we definitely didn't want to do that. So, but we could get him on his knees just like this comfortably. And so from here, what we do is just start to hand fight. We're not trying to tip each other over. We're just simply, working on our hand fighting. So a little example of that here where we're just, working on different grips. And now when we're doing this, what's hugely important, and this is always important, but this is one of the benefits that Eric can get through this, is our awareness. I've talked about, where our awareness goes, we bring alive. Well, it also helps heal. It helps us get information. So basically kind of mindfulness. As he's doing this, he needs to be constantly aware of his back and what hurts. And so we were doing this and, noticing okay, if I pull him a little bit, does that hurt? If I push a little bit, if we start to twist, does that hurt? And so we're getting that good movement. We're starting to get a little bit of a map of what motions and what positions he can go into. And then we can track that. The next day we'd come back and we would talk about how it was going, how it was feeling. And then we could say, we got a little bit more, rotation this week or whatnot. And so, again, that was just something where we could still, work on our jiu-jitsu and, still get a little bit of a competition, thing going on, even though he's healing. And the last thing, again, I just want to plug is the mindfulness piece. Even if we're 100% healthy, early 20s, no injuries, nothing like that, the more mindful and aware of our body and what we're doing, again, we talked about deep practice in the video before, it is so, to me, it is like the holy grail of all this stuff. And when he's healing, if he can put more awareness in that area throughout the day, it'll help him heal. So again, just a plug for that, just the more aware, present we can be in our body, feeling our experience. And so if you got something like this going on, is you should be doing that 24/7 when you're moving throughout the day. Continue to move, keep the awareness there, and let that thing heal. So Eric, thank you, very much. And again, we may come back and track the progress because again, we're 3 weeks in. He's improved a ton, but he's still, definitely walking. Really, outside of being on the ground, he's got a ton of pain. So we're making progress, but he's still got a long way to go. So we may check back in and see how things have gone. So, all right, we'll leave it there. So again, my name is Brandon. Again, this is Eric with Silverback MMA. Thanks for joining us.